should not be shouting,
So I mean,
should not show,
has its own.
Yeah, go and observe how his mandate is being exercised on his behalf. Is free to get access. And so that is why there is a public gallery. So we have. So I was just enjoying
the gallery.
I was enjoying it.
Honorable members, the request honorable members on the majority side, everybody should wake up.
My name is Benjamin Akakbo. This is The Probe. What you just saw were members of parliament at each other's throats, so to speak, on the floor of parliament. You would see Davis Opoku, a member of parliament from Prayaso, and how he was shouting, Asiedu must go, he must go. Asiedu Nketia, a very good evening to you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for joining us right here on The Probe. What was running through your mind as the member of parliament from Prayaso was shouting that you had to leave the gallery?
I was enjoying it, actually.
You were enjoying it?
Yes.
How so?
Because it's somebody who is displaying ignorance of the laws of the house. So I was just enjoying what was happening.
Right. You were not the only one in the gallery. There were other people there.
There were several people, more than 20 people in the gallery. And that's supposed to be the public gallery. In fact, a parliament without a public gallery is not a parliament. Because MPs are representatives. MPs are representatives of the people.
Right.
It is because you cannot get a house that will contain 30 million Ghanaians. That's why there must be representation.
Right.
So what the MPs do is that they take our mandate and go to exercise it on our behalf. So there must always be a public gallery where any member of the public who chooses to go and observe how his mandate is being exercised on his behalf is free to get access. And so that is why there is a public gallery. So I believe the guy who was shouting, he's been less than 8 months in parliament. And he would have helped himself, because the first year when you come to parliament, what you need to do is you focus on the rules of parliament. You read the standing orders, you read the constitution very well, and then understand what happens in parliament.
Are you suggesting the member of parliament from Prayaso was merely displaying
he has
ignorance?
no idea how parliament runs at all. That is the impression I had. Because you see, he should know even when you say parliament house, the various divisions in the parliament are the various compartments and so on. What you call parliament house,
right?
You have the floor of parliament, and then you have the lobbies, and then you have the galleries. The galleries, you have public gallery, press gallery, and so on. So each of them is governed by rules as to who can be there and who cannot be there. Okay. So the public gallery is reserved for members of the general public.
Right.
So if a democracy is functioning well and the people themselves are interested in how their nation is governed, you should be expecting a full gallery every day. Okay. So when you are in the public gallery, the only 2 occasions where you can be asked to leave the gallery is where Parliament decides to sit in camera, or what is called the closed sitting. Then the speaker will clear the galleries. They will ask the galleries to be cleared. Then they are cleared. That is one of the occasions where the public gallery is actually shut to members of the public. The other occasion will be where an occupant of the public gallery is displaying a conduct that seems to run contrary to the rules that govern the public gallery. For instance, in some parliament, it could be said that you should not be taking phone calls while you are sitting in the public gallery.
Right.
You should not be taking pictures or whatever. You should not be shouting.
So I mean,
you should not show
has its own.
Yeah, and you should not show placards when you are in the gallery and so on. So if you breach them, then you could be warned.
Right.
Then on the second occasion, if you continue, then the speaker can ask a marshal. The parliament security is called marshal.
Right.
Then they will come and handle you.
General, now that you cite, Davis and his actions on the day, how did you find them? I mean, how do you react to what he was doing on the floor of Parliament, calling for you to be ousted?
Well, you don't react to ignorance. He was insisting on non-existent rights. So I just enjoyed it, and I don't have anything to say about it. I believe that his own constituents and the elders of his party will call him and ask him to study the rules of the house so that it does not embarrass the party.
It doesn't appear that would be it, because there were other members of his party who were supporting him, there, calling for you to be.
In fact, their case is worse, particularly the majority leader. Because you've been there for more than 20 years and you know all the rules. For you to allow a backbencher who is just a fresher, who hasn't studied the rules, to be ordering you and then you following them out, is a bigger offense than what the conduct that backbencher put up.
Did it come to you as a surprise? I mean, your presence in Parliament, did you feel it would ruffle feathers the way it did?
No, because Parliament has been my house. I've been an MP for 12 years.
Right.
And before becoming an MP, I participated in writing the Constitution, which they are applying now. So I know what is in the Constitution and what went into putting what is there inside. And I participated in the drafting of the standing orders. So I know what the standing orders contain, and I've been in Parliament 12 years applying these standing orders. Even though there have been some changes, there have not been any substantial changes. The key principles are the same. And so, what didn't surprise me was that MPP was acting as MPP.
How do you mean?
Yes, because this was a party which, instead of eating humble pie, to get to the realization that the parliament as it used to be is no longer like that. They are living in some self-denial.
Right.
They still think that the majority which they were controlling in the past still exists. Perhaps the description of majority leader still can be blamed for this, because in actual fact there is no majority in Parliament, because the two major
independent candidate,
by law cannot declare that he's MPP. The day he declares it, he has to retire for a by-election.
Right.
Okay. So how did MPP become the majority leader, when a majority party, when they are 137 and this is 137? But because they've used some legal gymnastics to name somebody majority leader, so he still carries the impression that he controls majority of the house, and that is not the case.
General, do tell us, what exactly was the role you were playing, at the gallery on Friday? Some have said that your presence there actually disrupted government business, and this is crucial government business, because we are talking about the approval of a budget, without which approval, like has been said, intimated by government, things will grind to a halt. You could have decided, even when the speaker had told you not to, budge, you could have decided in the national interest to go out. What were you doing there that was so important?
The speaker didn't make any pronouncement about my presence.
Yes, I mean,
he didn't, because
the majority side called on him.
No, he didn't call on him. You don't call on the speaker by shouting. You understand? you catch the speaker's eye, and then he invites you to put your point across. So if you are on the floor just shouting, Asiedu Nketia must go, you are just seen as a busybody. Nobody, minds what you have said. So however loud you shout, legally, you are not drawing the speaker's attention to anything. You understand? So when the speaker is in the chair and things are happening on the floor, somebody must bring it to the attention of the speaker.
Are you suggesting that after all the shouts and chants, yes, someone must raise the hand and all of that? Are you saying the speaker's eye, didn't catch any of them trying to get his attention, that you must be sent out?
No. Legally, no. The speaker does not have that. He cannot descend into the arena of controversy. So you remember there was a time there was some fisticuffs on the floor of Parliament,
right?
And somebody was alleged to have attempted to slap another MP, and so just.
Are you talking of the January 6th?
Justice Annan, no.
Incident.
The very first or second Parliament or so, Justice Annan was then presiding,
right?
So nobody drew the attention of Speaker that this conduct has happened on the floor and so on. So later on, they were in the media accusing Justice Annan, and he said he didn't see it. When the matter was probed, they discovered that you need to draw the attention, you need to bring whatever has happened there to the attention of the Speaker properly.
Right.
Because there are rules as to how you draw the attention of Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Because he does not descend into the arena of controversy.
General, hold your horses right there. It gets even more interesting. And we're going to surprise not just you, but all our viewers. We have a bit of a surprise package in the person of the Member of Parliament from Praia, so Davis Opoku-Ansah, who joins us now via Zoom. Davis, thank you for joining the conversation on the probe. Now, we're in the studio with the General Secretary of the NDC, who was in the public gallery on Friday, that is in Parliament. And he has described your actions as being smacking of ignorance. On hindsight, do you feel your actions were unparliamentary? I mean, the General has said that for a first-timer, you should have been focusing on learning the ropes when it comes to Parliament, but you were there calling for his ousting when you knew absolutely nothing about parliamentary procedure in that respect. How do you react to that?
Well, first of all, let me say a very good evening to our viewers, and also to say that I can forgive the General Secretary of the NDC for displaying such ignorance on your program. Yes, he's been a member of Parliament before, but learning the rules do not take 10 years to do so. It did take 10 years. For some of us, we've been blessed enough that we know the ins and outs of the book. I mean, the standing orders of our Parliament. So I can forgive him. But first of all,
are you?
Yes.
If I could just chip in, are you questioning the intelligence of a former, member of Parliament?
Well, you can sit in Parliament for 8 terms, and if you don't know, you don't know. So, I mean, if you look at what he's saying there, there hasn't been any major changes to the standing orders of Parliament. So I expect that he knows better. But clearly, Asiedu Nketia is displaying. I'm sure that he thinks it's on one of these account stations where he can easily have his way and lie and just go scot-free. But like I'm saying, learning the rules of Parliament does not take 4 years to do so.
Davis, that point is very well made. So are you saying that you have no remorse at all for how you reacted on the floor of Parliament on Friday, calling for Asiedu Nketia to be thrown out? Are you saying you don't regret it in any way? You don't think it was unparliamentary? You have no regrets?
I do not think it was unparliamentary. First of all, I'm a member of Parliament, and I got into Parliament at a time when COVID was on the rise. Parliament took a decision that it was not going to allow for people to sit in the gallery. So I don't know if you've observed for some time now, people are not allowed into the gallery of Parliament, even when we are sitting. Members of the public are not allowed in our gallery. I'm wondering how special Asiedu Nketia is that he will be allowed to have
again, pardon my interjection. I'm sorry that I have to do this, but on the day, on Friday, just to make the point clear, it was not only Asiedu Nketia who was in the public gallery. So this point you make about people not being allowed in the gallery is a bit curious.
Well, it was Asiedu Nketia and his entourage. He came with a team, and he cannot deny that. He came with some heavily built men who stood by him all this while. Of course, because the day was a very important day, whether or not the parliament was going to accept the motion brought forth by the finance minister, you would expect that you would have a large media presence. So you realize that the media gallery could not accommodate all the media personnel. So some members of the media were also in the public gallery. That is appreciated. I mean,
we can also confirm, our reporters also confirmed to us that apart from even the media people, there were still other people who were not part of Asiedu Nketia's entourage who were also there.
Well, they should name them. I'm telling you that Parliament, for a very long time, ever since COVID broke up, has not allowed anybody into the public gallery. And you can verify from Parliament. I mean, we have had visitors come from elsewhere. They want to observe what goes on in Parliament, but they are denied access to the public gallery because of COVID. And this is a fact. So I'm only saying that how different is Asiedu Nketia from the young man that came from Bundudi and wanted to have an experience of what goes on in the public gallery. Parliament says no, you cannot come there. So who is Asiedu Nketia that he should be allowed to sit whilst others are being denied the opportunity to do so? Two.
You are aware though that he is chair of the Parliamentary Service Board. You know that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You mean that carries no weight at all?
That is not his place. That is not his place. That is not his place. I mean, that point must be made. That is not Asiedu Nketia's place. I mean, he can laugh, but I've exposed him, and clearly, I mean, it took him some 12 years to learn the standing orders of the house. So I can understand his display of ignorance on this program. But you see, two, this was a serious matter where at a point a decision was put forward to a voice vote. I am saying today that the number of people that came in with Asiedu Nketia, of course, could have influenced the decision of the speaker. So maybe
how exactly could they have done that? People in the gallery could have influenced the decision of the speaker?
I am telling you that those who sat with Asiedu Nketia came with him. And they came there clouded with partisanship. They came there for an agenda. They came there just to ensure that the business of government comes to a halt. I mean, that's the reason why Asiedu Nketia came there, just to ensure he's able to marshal his people to vote against a budget that is going to take care of he himself. He himself, as he says there, a member of the Parliamentary Service Board. This is a budget that was going to take care of him. So clearly, he came there with an agenda.
So David, very quickly, two questions, and I want you to wrap on those. One, do you know exactly how many people were in the entourage of Asiedu Nketia? Do you know?
I am telling you that everybody who sat with him, everybody, when he left...
Yes, but do you know the number? Do you know how many they were?
Well, I did not, and I did not. I was down there. But I'm telling you that all the guys who sat with Asiedu Nketia came with him.
All right. My final question to you. Now, this was a major, decision of Parliament concerning the budget for the year 2022. And owing to your orchestration, I mean, you started calling for Asiedu Nketia to be thrown out of Parliament. On the back of that, the majority walked out of Parliament, did not participate in the vote of and all of that. Do you feel responsible for that action, which now has led to what some say is a rejection of your budget?
Well, nobody has the power to reject a budget of such nature. First of all, Asiedu Nketia knows, I mean, if he's been in Parliament for 3 terms, he needs to study the rules of Parliament. to vote on the matter of this nature. Both the Constitution and the Standing Orders of Parliament says that at least majority of members of Parliament must be present at the time of voting. At the time of voting. And this is so because we are representatives of the people. You see, unlike what happens during a referendum and all of that, where decisions are left with the general public to take, we have been elected by the people to take these decisions on their behalf. So the Constitution makes it clear that at every time when voting has to happen, at least half of members of Parliament must be present.
Right.
That's
you're referring to, Article 104, right?
Yeah, Article 104 of our Constitution. And it does not talk about quorum. And that is where they are all getting it wrong. I see them referring to Article 102 and trying to justify what really happened.
Right.
From the count that we had 137 members of Parliament there. At least we needed 138 members of Parliament at the time of voting on the budget. They did not have that. So we believe that nothing has happened. The budget is still under consideration, and hopefully at the appropriate time, Parliament, in its right formation, will take a decision. I mean, it's very clear. It's printed in our books, black and white, Article 104.
Thank you so much, Davis, for joining the conversation and sharing your thoughts as well. Technically, though, I mean, if you divide 275 by 2, you would get 137 and a half. Of course, you can't have half a human being or half a parliamentarian. So I guess we'll round it up to, the figure of 138. But coming back into the studio, what is your quick reaction to Davis? He says, you may have spent 3 terms in Parliament, but you yourself are ignorant of the standing orders of Parliament. And he says, though you are chair of the Parliamentary Service Board, it counts for nothing. What are your quick reactions to that?
First of all, let me correct that. I'm not chair of the Parliamentary Service Board.
You're a member of
the board and chair of the committee
within.
Right.
Thank you for the correction.
But I thank him for extending the amusement.
For extending the amusement?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes, I enjoyed this. He has made my evening. Because he continues to display the same type of things that he displays. So people like that are not ready to learn. See? And then they think that the business of Parliament is just the continuation of platform talk, where you have a captive audience, you say what you want and get away with it. I went to Parliament with my driver and my ADC. The ADC is sitting there. And they were following me all over the place, my driver and my ADC. That's all.
So your entourage that Davis referred to?
I don't know which entourage he was talking about.
2 people.
Yes.
Okay.
My driver and my ADC, who is just, luckily he's in this studio and he can confirm that. So if you see members of the public in the public gallery, and as a member of Parliament, your conclusion is that because I am there, so everybody in the public gallery is part of my entourage. That makes the amusement continue. And again, this whole business of public gallery having been shut down and so on. Do you know something? When I went to sit in the public gallery, I was even invited that they have reserved a seat for me on the floor.
On the floor of Parliament?
Yes.
By
in
who?
the lobby.
By who?
I was invited by the clerks. My seat is down there. I said, I'll get a better view of proceedings when I'm up there. You understand? So he doesn't know what he's talking about. The public gallery is not shut, because if the public gallery is shut, you close the doors so that nobody has access there. The public gallery is not shut.
Was your strategic positioning in any way to influence the vote?
I have the right to sit anywhere I choose in the public gallery. That seat is not determined by anybody. If you enter the public gallery, there are ushers there who can lead you. If the place is filled up, they can locate a seat for you. But on this occasion, it wasn't. There were still many spaces, so I chose where to sit. And I went and sat there. in a strategic position where I can observe my MPs perform. And I was enjoying their display.
What advice would you have for Davis, the Member of Parliament for Prior? So if you had any advice to give, what would it be?
He has proven that he's impervious to advice, so you leave him to steam in his ignorance. So you don't advise him again, because it takes somebody who is prepared to learn, to actually learn. But the rules are there, the things he's talking about. I'm advising him that your first year in Parliament, you devote it to learning the rules and learning how Parliament operates. Then you will find your level. But for you to come to Parliament less than a year and you are declaring yourself master of the rules to the point that you are calling people who have been practicing the rules several years as ignorant people. I think that, like I have said before, when you meet a donkey shouting that grass is blue, you don't argue with it.
All right, let's proceed from here. Now, the meat of the matter is that on Friday, your end of Parliament, rejected roundly the budget statement
it's
for 2022.
Parliament that rejected the statement. When you are inside Parliament does it.
It was your members of Parliament.
Whether you leave or you stay, it is Parliament that is operating.
So Parliament rejected the budget statement. And I mean, was this a triumph for you? I mean, we had heard from Murtala Mohammed, the Tamale Central MP, we had heard from Isaac Adungo, the Bolga Central MP. All of it, they had intimated that this was going to happen. Was this what you were looking for?
Yes.
NDC?
Yes.
That was what you were looking for?
Yes.
And you got it?
We got it. And we're not looking for it for any self-gratification or partisan gratification. The signs were clear that Ghanaians didn't like this budget.
But I mean,
there are challenges.
Let's get to the critical issues. You had spoken about the e-levy and a few other things. But beyond that, I mean, this was a budget that was going to account for road construction, the construction of hospitals, the building of infrastructure and all of that. And you just threw it all away. And that also brings to mind, because the Minister of Finance had at a point wanted to engage your side of Parliament further on some of the contents of the budget. And that was also flatly refused.
It was just playing to the gallery.
The Finance Minister was playing to the gallery.
In fact, the fact that the reason why he was given the floor to speak was that everybody thought he was going to convey the output of an earlier engagement to the House and through the House to the general public, because there had been engagement between the leadership on both sides, presided over by the Speaker. And some of the conclusions were that certain objectionable aspects of the budget had been recognized by the Finance Minister. So we should give him opportunity to come and announce those, so that after the announcement, then the two sides will now vote to endorse the budget. So he came to the House with that understanding. And then between the Speaker's block and the floor of the House, all that had changed. And then when he had the opportunity to address the House, instead of announcing those aspects that will be withdrawn, he just got up and changed everything and was now saying that he should be given time to engage. If after an engagement, you have shown this type of, lack of good faith, what type of engagement are you looking for?
But why not just allow him so that peace will prevail? Whatever the additions
where is the peace going to prevail? If you say that they should give you time to go and engage, you understand? Whilst you had already engaged and you were required to come and announce the output of the engagement, and then you come there and turn everything around to say that, give me time to engage. Who else is he going to engage with? The people you have engaged with, you have come around to show bad faith. So how are they going to trust you to sit in any other engagement? And how would they guarantee that after that engagement, you will come and report what you have agreed upon? And that is the problem with MPP. And that is what is catching them up. They don't know how to engage. And anytime you attempt to engage with them in the national interest, they are always having a hidden agenda. So once you move one step, they come round to turn everything round and say a different thing.
Let's talk about the national interest you speak of, because some people have described your move in Parliament, I mean, that of the minority side, as mere vile politicking. Let's go back to the 90s when VAT was introduced, and then we had Siemi Preko, Kume Preko. Eventually, we had VAT. Coming full throttle, and today we still have it.
Yes.
I mean, this e-levy, you have come out to say that it is a killer tax, as some of your members of parliament have said. But is there no positive side to it? You seem to have dug your feet in saying you will never support this.
When we're talking about VAT, the first time it was introduced, the manner in which it was introduced, the composition, there are several things about it. It's not just the name, you see, and the packaging and all that. It was met with resistance. And we ourselves were in absolute majority in Parliament. But we could have bulldozed it the same way they were doing this, because we were 189 NDC MPs as against 11 non-NDC MPs.
Yeah, but there were the massive protests as well.
Precisely, but all that was outside Parliament. You understand? Do you think that if MPP had that majority now, they will mind whatever protests that is happening outside Parliament? They would have just proceeded. The way they are behaving, they would have just proceeded. But we, members of MPs belonging to the NDC, we ourselves started, criticism from within, that the way this thing has been packaged and presented in the environment of lack of proper education and so on and so forth, we shouldn't push it. Let us withdraw it. I was on Finance Committee. I've been in Finance Committee all these years. And in fact, a cabinet minister, Dr. Obeda Samoa at that time, after arguing in cabinet for the withdrawal and having failed, he walked to our Finance Committee in slippers and in casual dressing. We were all surprised that this powerful man has descended here and dressed casually like that. When we gave him the floor, he said that I am not here as Attorney General or Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am here as Dr. Yawa Samoa, a citizen of this country, and I want to express my views before the Finance Committee. And when we gave him the floor, and he actually convinced us as to why we should object to the budget and to the VAT and demand for its withdrawal. A cabinet minister at that time.
So different situations.
Yes, so we had to withdraw.
Right.
When there were those protests, we listened to the voices of the people and the voices from within, and withdrew it. Went back, repackaged it, and embarked on public education, massive public education. We actually changed the minister and brought in another minister of communication, who then came and did the communication around it, and it was reintroduced much later, not in the same year. So if you are introducing something, it's not just about all VAT is not VAT, and I guess the same way, all e-levy cannot be e-levy. It depends on how you couch it. So if
the couching of it then, General, is there any shape the e-levy can take that will be acceptable to the NDC?
We are saying that go back and engage the people. There is no public education.
I ask that because some people have said 0.5, others have said 1% or something.
No, that's why we are not there at all. We are not there yet. Let the people accept the fact of the VAT and the desirability of the levy and the desirability. Go and explain to the masses why you should be needing that tax now. The telecoms operators themselves were not engaged. You are imposing a task which will be collected by them. They themselves don't know what you are talking about. You know. So everything has been right. You don't do things that way. And again, a major fundamental issue is that when you look at Parliament is an intermediary between the population and government.